I wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast talking about how to navigate the fertility journey during the holiday season. You may be getting a lot of questions about, when are you going to expand your family? And this well-meaning advice and people would tell you what's worked for them. I want you to have a plan so you know what you can do to optimize your chances of pregnancy success in 2023 and how to navigate these different functions during the holiday season with ease. So excited for you to listen to today's episode. Let's go. We're going to give you 3 strategies that can help you right now during the holiday season to help prepare your body for pregnancy success and your baby in 2023. First thing we're talking about is mental emotional stress. And obviously, going through the fertility journey can impact all aspects of your life. And during the holiday season, you may be seeing friends and family again, which they could start asking you the question, how's it going? Are you pregnant yet? When is the baby coming? And depending on how many people you've told about what you're, as far as your journey, that you may have been trying for a number of years, or maybe you've experienced, failed IVFs. Sometimes we share with people, sometimes it just doesn't feel comfortable. So navigating that alone, that question, you need to sort of have a plan there. When someone asks you the question, how much of your story will you tell? Or are you comfortable just saying, we're trying and leave it at that? Or, maybe some close friends and family, you want to share a little more of what you're going through. And it can be helpful to have a plan of knowing what to say. Obviously, sharing your whole thing with the person at the grocery store, or if you're going to a holiday party, sharing a whole thing may not be right, but you got to feel what's right for you and think about ahead of time before you hit these situations of exactly what you'll do. And even knowing that, someone could say when you're on the fertility journey, well, let's just relax, and you may want to reach out and slap that person. So it is really important, though, to address the mental emotional stress. And that infertility, the fertility journey can impact all aspects of your life, from your relationship to your social life. You may feel stuck. You may feel that everyone else is moving on while you're trying to figure this piece out and wanting to have your life, you visualize it a certain way. And so, many times, and so these triggers, it is to bring awareness to this. First of all, if you find yourself being triggered by baby bumps, by children or babies, or either even seeing families can be triggering. You're dealing with secondary infertility. Maybe you're seeing a family of 4 or a family of 3. All of these these triggers are normal. It's important to not judge yourself, to realize that, when someone else has something that you want, you're just a little more hyper focused on seeing that. And so you can get to the point eventually that the universe is showing you what's possible for you. And to know that everything's working in your favor. And it can be difficult, right? Obviously, to feel that other people are moving on while you're not, and they have what you want. So feelings of jealousy, of envy, frustration, anger, grief, sadness, wherever you are, don't judge that. Just to recognize all those emotions are completely normal. And so as part of our Fab Fertile method, it's really important to recognize that the mental emotional stress of the fertility journey, and it may be heightened during the holiday season as we're gathering as in groups. We may be going to church, to synagogue, to wherever your faith may be, and in those places, a lot of families may be present. So making sure to have a plan beforehand of you can, arrive late, leave early, figure out what you're going to say to people. That can be really helpful to help with the triggers that might come up, and to know that you don't have to go to everything. You don't have to spend a whole weekend with with your nieces and nephews, with babies, with children, if it doesn't feel right for you. Or it may feel right for you. Maybe holding a baby, maybe being around children just makes you feel so happy, and it gives you joy. So really dig into what feels right for you, because it's personal, and what works for one person may not work for you. So just wanted to share a success story. Actually, just before we go into that, interesting today. So Jennifer Aniston. So for years, people have just been, the press has been hounding her about, does she have a baby bump? Oh, look at her belly. She's like, it's bloated. She was just hounded for years. I think she's like 52 or 3 now. So she just recently, just actually today, came out when I'm recording this. I'm recording this on November the 9th. Just came out today saying for years she tried IVF. She was doing Chinese medicine. She was doing TCM, so traditional Chinese medicine. She was taking herbs. She was trying IVF, throwing everything at it, and nothing was working. And then all the press coming at her saying, "Are you pregnant? Oh, she's pregnant." Like, I remember back in the day, it was all I guess they still have some of these magazines, but not as much. But it was like all those magazines when they would like analyze her stomach and all that stuff. And going through that, in a very public way, obviously extremely difficult. Many of us go through that in our private life where someone's like, "Ooh, are you pregnant?" I literally don't say anyone's pregnant until, like, even if they're 9 months pregnant. I don't know. I just don't say it because one never knows. Like, you don't know. People have been asked if you're pregnant at 6 months, and maybe they've gained weight. It's really, once you've gone through this journey, you're a little more aware of other people that are on this journey, and you really do not want to offend anyone or make someone feel bad, because having someone say, "Are you pregnant?" when you're trying, maybe you're going through IVF, and maybe maybe the medication is making you feeling bloated, and someone saying that, and it can be just devastating. So I just wanted to share a story here for you. So we see a lot of people that have autoimmune issues, and once you have one autoimmune disease, it can predispose you for another one. So we see a lot of couples and women having Hashimoto's, and that typically goes along with a low AMH diagnosis, sometimes high FSH as well, but typically the low AMH. And this one we had, so she tried naturally for 2.5 years. She did have endometriosis. We see many people with endometriosis. She had Hashimoto's. She'd experienced a miscarriage before she came to see us. She had low cortisol. So a lot of this kind of, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but that burnout piece, and extremely stressed. So trying everything. And she also had thyroid cancer. So she had a thyroidectomy. And so her TSH was like in the 8. It should be below 2 or 1.5. And plus you need to look at the full panel, including antibodies. With her hashies, she was looking at that, but the antibodies were elevated. She had mineral imbalance. We did so part of our Fertility method, we do testing. Typically, we're looking at hair tissue mineral analysis testing, food sensitivity testing, gut testing, genetic testing, different from the genetic testing you'd get at your fertility clinic. This is looking at a female hormone panel. So we look at your glucose, your thyroid markers, your FSH, and more. And really, those are the hormones, but then what are the specific diet and lifestyle and supplements to actually support those hormones? And then you can develop that very personalized approach, and it can really help with behavioral modification, because sometimes we're like, well, why are we doing this? What's the point? Well, we look at our genetics, and maybe we aren't able to methylate properly. So you want to make sure you have a methylfolate, which we recommend everyone doing it prenatal with a methylfolate, because over 50% of the population may have the MTHFR gene variant. Or maybe you're just predisposed to blood sugar issues, and maybe it's harder for you to regulate your blood sugar. So we can bring in supplements and diet and lifestyle strategies to support that piece. So the genes are really key part of this, helps with a personalized approach. And then also looking at your adrenals, we see, especially with thyroid, and really literally anyone on the fertility journey that we're working with, something is happening with the adrenals. And so they could be adrenal insufficiency, or just the adrenals are struggling. So how do we support the adrenals? And so she had low protein intake. We see this a lot where people are eating, a really great diet, but maybe they're not absorbing the nutrients. And in this case, because she had gut infections, parasites, bacteria, all that great food's coming in and she's not able to absorb it into her body. And she did have blood sugar imbalance, multiple food sensitivities, typically for anything to do with the thyroid. You want to make sure that you are not consuming gluten. And she did have a non-celiac gluten sensitivity, so very high gluten. And so then after working with us for over 1 year, and our average success rate is between 12 to 18 months, she got pregnant naturally. So, but she did a lot of work and made the changes, followed our approach, the Fab Fertile method, which is mind, body, spirit. And we look at those biochemical stressors, the blood sugar, the thyroid, the cortisol, the gut infections and more, but also looking at the mental emotional stress and really that is key to be able to, it's that bidirectional feed. The body affects the mind and the mind affects the body. And so we work together on this, and not all at once, but give that plan to help you make those changes. And in this case, with the mental emotional stress, first of all, giving voice to it instead of stuffing it down inside of us, having a team and having a support network that can actually help move you through it. And we have access to, we have therapists on our team. We have EMDR, which can help to identify trauma. We have EFT, which helps to pinpoint trauma and move it out of the body through tapping. So many different modalities, including coaching and really some really quick stress relieving tools that we have that can help get you out of that sympathetic fight or flight into the parasympathetic, which is rest and restore, or rest and digest stage, to help prepare for baby. Okay, so the next one we have is chronic stress. So, like we talk about, stress can be a sneaky thing as the demands pile up, even small tasks become unmanageable. Yeah, even going to the mailbox, which is, I wanted to go to the mailbox to get the profile, but that part, it was just going across the street. It was one extra thing I had to do. And I was in overwhelm, like just kept going and going and going until I completely burnt out. And we see this a lot of time. People come in to work with us, and because their hormones are so imbalanced, they could be having hot flashes and night sweats and mood imbalances, feeling irritable or angry or sad or frustrated as the hormones are all over the place. And it can just be exhausting. And so that overwhelm piece is key to be actually to recognize that. So if you're feeling that right now, it is time to really take 2 steps back to take 1 giant leap forward, and to recognize that if you're stuck in that fight or flight, so you're in that parasympathetic, so you're in the sympathetic state where your body's just yelling at you, and you're how do you get yourself into the parasympathetic state, to that rest and digest, to be able to receive your child. So and that's when your body knows it's safe for pregnancy. And so that chronic stress piece, it does sneak up on you. And there's I've talked about this before, but there's a book called Burnout, and when they were doing the research for the book Burnout, and they asked women, what is burnout? And no one said, well, I've never heard of that. Many of us have experienced burnout of either working too much, or caring for someone else, or just taking on, saying yes all the time when we really want to say no, or maybe saying no when we want to say yes. And so not listening to what we want, what we need. And so that chronic stress piece is really key as you navigate the holiday season, and seeing, that's why it's really important to have a plan and do what you want. Having boundaries. It's fine to take a nap, to sleep in if you can, and to although obviously for the sleep piece, it's better to go to bed at the same time every day, wake up at the same time every day. But sometimes we need to nap. Sometimes we need to take care of ourselves and focus on that self-care piece instead of caring for others and doing what others want. And even though, depending if you're dealing with primary or secondary infertility, from a work standpoint, you may feel that, everyone else gets to leave early to take their child to daycare, or maybe everyone else gets to gets to leave early to pick their child up from daycare, or they need to leave early to do pediatrician appointments, or they need to pick their children up, and you're the one staying late. You have to do the extra work because you don't have children. And but how does your child fit into your life right now? What if we set those appointments for ourselves? No one says that we're the last person that has to be at work. We can, in lieu of the pediatrician appointments, we can set appointments for us to go get a massage. Maybe if we're, go to yoga, do a hatha or restorative, something slower. Put appointments in your calendar that you can leave, that you can, you don't need to be the last one there. If that's you, if you find yourself maybe burying yourself in work, not setting boundaries around that. And how do you just say, this is what I'm going to do. I don't need to take the call. 12, we have people, people are managing teams overseas, depending on where you are. Maybe you're, we have a lot of our clients that are really busy professionals. So they can be managing other teams and on different time zones, and you're taking a call at midnight, and maybe you don't need to accept every meeting invite, every how do you be on some of these meetings, how do you be a alternate? You don't need to be at everyone. Obviously, if it's your meeting, it's a different situation, but look to see with the chronic stress, where you can take a step back, saying no, and really recognizing it as the first step. I know when I was in it, I didn't quite know. Now I know that for years I was in chronic stress. And now I know when things get out of alignment that I have to put on some essential oils. I need to go book a massage. I need to take a bath. I need to go to bed. Like, go to bed. I need to maybe watch a junky reality show because that makes me happy. I need to read a good book because that's what really fills me up. A fiction book, the great story, that makes me happy. So whatever it is for you, maybe it's getting creative, doing like artwork, painting, drawing, whatever, maybe scrapbooking, whatever it is for you. Going in nature, that helps me, going for a walk every day, and meditating, which is in times of stress. I literally always have abandoned meditating. I'm in a period right now where I'm probably only doing it one or two times a week. And I can feel my neck starting to seize up, and it's time to bring it back. So the little steps, if you don't do all those things at once, that self-care list can just be exhausting. But it's important to recognize, is chronic stress, is that going on for you? As we go into the holiday season, are we doing this list where we got to attend all these parties? You need to see every friend and family person. We're reading a lot of invites now as things are kind of closed down for the last little while. The calendar starts to pick up. And so really be mindful and select, well, what's going to fill me up? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? Think about that, have a discussion with your partner, and then you can really navigate this on your own terms. Obviously, certain things you may need to attend, but see if you can, arrive late and leave early. Yeah. So our Fab Fertile method will help give you a plan. So you'll make steps every day to help optimize pregnancy success. So I'll just share another story with you here. So we have a couple that came in. She'd had multiple failed IVFs, 3 failed IVFs, and 2 failed IUIs before she came to see us. Diminished ovarian reserve, low AMH. She was a busy professional. She worked very hard. So a lot of over 50 hours a week, always on the laptop, and very like a high stress job. And so and she had her AMH was 0.08. And so she got to work. She made the changes. She had multiple food sensitivities, so high sensitivity to gluten, so non-celiac gluten sensitivity. She had multiple parasites, bacterial infections. Yeah. And so she had a lot of that stress piece. So we really worked on addressing the gut infections and the food sensitivities, developing that targeted protocol for her, helping her realize, working on, she was a lot of training for the marathon and doing a lot of vigorous exercise. So exercise is really important to her. So we worked to see how you could do a slower form of exercise, still want to move, but is that exercise actually serving you? Is that impacting your adrenals and making you be more depleted? And so for her, it was doing slower forms of exercise, but still moving was really important. We're not about sitting on the couch. And then within 4 months into the program, following our fat fertile method, she was pregnant naturally, and she was told that donor eggs were her only option and nothing would ever work. But she followed the plan and she got to work, and she really looked at all those different stressors in her life. And for her, really, it was the job. And how did we not work till 10 at night? How do we close the laptop at 6? How do we, and also the over exercising, how do we not do so much vigorous exercise? How do we, like for her with the food and the food sensitivities, she did the autoimmune protocol for about 60 days. And then so took out those top inflammatory foods. We tweaked it with food sensitivity testing so she could dig in deeper, and really she got to work. So here's the plan. We have to follow the plan. That's why it's important to have coaches, because you can get a plan. Someone, you get the test, here they are. And then, whoops, we don't actually implement what it is we're saying. So the coaching part of the program, digging into that mind, body, spirit approach is key to success. So you can identify those different issues. Maybe it's self-sabotage. Maybe you're drinking wine when you're stressed out, whatever it may be, of how we cope with, these stressors, especially in the holiday season, as we're seeing friends and family and these, things we may feel extra triggered. So to be able to have some coping strategies in place is key. Okay, the next one we have is the biochemical stress. So I've talked a little bit about this in some of the stories I've shared with you there, with blood sugar imbalance and thyroid and food sensitivities and gut infections. So the first one we had the mental emotional stress. So especially during the holiday season, the chronic stress that we've maybe been burnt out, and now the biochemical stress, where all these different things may have started to impact our body's ability to conceive. And so whether it's toxin exposure from our personal care or our cleaning products, maybe it's the blood sugar imbalance, maybe you're feeling hangry, or you got mood swings, or your sleep is poor. Maybe you've been told your thyroid is normal. I really encourage you to dig into the thyroid piece. There's a lot of medical gaslighting around the thyroid, where people have been told your TSH is normal. No one's looked at the full panel. So I would say like 100% of people we work with, the thyroid is off. I mean, that's the canary in the coal mine, and we really need to work. Medication can be part of the solution, but it's really important to do those targeted diet and lifestyle changes along with it. And so many times, if you got that diagnosis of either a low AMH or high FSH, premature ovarian insufficiency, diminished ovarian reserve, you may have been told donor eggs are your only option, or you may have been told you had better rush to IVF. I had people tell me, you better do an aggressive IVF, which seems just counterintuitive to welcoming your child, where you're going this aggressive IVF, just pounding away with the hormones and pushing this to work. Where how do we get into that receive state and out of that fight or flight into the rest and digest to receive our baby, and not I do believe in a plan, because we work with a lot of left brain action oriented people. I believe in the plan. It's also to be able to make the changes around the plan, but then really dig into that intuitive piece, look for the signs. They're all around you, and lean into the universe, your faith, whatever that is for you, to be able to believe that your body is healthy, that your body wants to procreate, while you're doing these targeted changes to address the gut infections, food sensitivities, blood sugar, thyroid, adrenal insufficiency, mineral imbalance. We see a lot of people on long-term hormonal birth control that can impact your body's ability to absorb nutrients. So you could eat that healthy diet. Maybe you're not absorbing things. That's why we see a lot of people with low protein intake, and all this can impact your reproductive health. So minerals are the spark plugs of the body. So you got to make sure that you're absorbing your minerals. If you've got a gut infection, maybe it's giving you low stomach acid and you're not actually absorbing those things. So the testing piece can really help fast track it. but also being able to recognize those mental, emotional stressors, seeing if you're in that kind of chronic burnout piece and addressing these things. And during the holiday times, as maybe you've already made some changes to your diet, and as you're joining people to eat, you'd be like, well, you might be doing gluten or dairy free already, and then you're like, oh my god, what am I going to eat? Well, oh my goodness, what am I going to eat when I get there to people's houses? And that's where you can have people over to your place, and when you cook the meal, and you can have foods that suit your dietary restrictions. Or when you where you do visit people, you're like, I'm not doing these foods right now. And most people are like, oh, no problem. Okay. So you can either bring something that you can eat, or most people are very accommodating and can help you navigate this. So it's not about you then going and eating a food that doesn't serve you and you feel sick afterwards, because you've recognized that there already are food sensitivities, or you not enjoying spending time with your family and friends because you're like, what am I going to eat? I can think of my group of girlfriends. I've got about 8 of them. We all get together, and like, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, we'd have a potluck, and I'd go there. I'm like, what am I going to eat? Like I couldn't eat any of this stuff that they were bringing. And now it's like, everybody's got a food sensitivity. So there's literally like dairy and gluten-free options, and everyone brings things, and no one's suffering. We can all enjoy together. And yeah, it's a little high maintenance, but when you go to these places, being able to recognize what's right for you and being your own advocate and being like, I can't eat that because it doesn't serve me. And so you can either share what you're going through, or you'd be like, you know what, I just found out I have food sensitivity. I'm staying away from that stuff. So as you navigate these places, like you want to attend them, but you got to figure out what maybe you'll eat before. Maybe you'll bring the food. Maybe you'll host it at your place. So the holiday part of that with the food can be a little bit difficult to navigate, but completely possible, and really putting your needs first. To me, it's like, it's not selfish to think of you first. It's if you're not doing well, everyone else around you is going to be suffering because you're going to be cranky, or not feeling well, depressed, frustrated, impatient, whatever, however it comes out for when you're not serving your needs, ones around you suffer. So that's why I'm like, I put myself first, so then everyone around me can I can be a nicer person, because if I feel that I haven't put myself first, I'm going to usually be ticked off about that, because I'm like, what did I do there? Obviously, it's not a perfect thing. There's certain things that you may have to have obligations or commitments, but really being able to put yourself first. In this case, looking at those biochemical stressors, how is it impacting your fertility? And how do you then begin to address them? So I'm going to give you another success story here. So as we talked about, our Fertile method includes the testing. And so this person was 41 before she came to see us. She had 3 failed IVFs. It was secondary infertility. And so we found a lot of biochemical issues, like we normally do when we work with people. People worry that, oh my goodness, you're going to do the tests and no one's going to find anything. And that has not been the case. Otherwise, you'd already be pregnant, or the IVF would have worked. So there's missed healing opportunities, and we need to dig deeper and find out what those are. So she had blood sugar imbalance. Her progesterone was low, which then can create estrogen dominance. She had food sensitivities, gut infections. She had sleep issues. She had, and also both all these changes, we always do it with the partner. It's really important to do this together. And your partner will have his own goals, and you'll have yours. We don't want to coach our partner because that doesn't serve anyone. He needs to have his goals. It's not about nagging him to take his supplements or telling him he's got to go gluten-free. We will look at his blood chemistry and his semen analysis and determine what's right for him. And then you will focus on your own goals. And this really helps your relationship too, because it can be, if you find yourself, oh, he's not doing this, or he's jeopardizing my chances of success because he's having beer and pizza. We need to focus on ourselves. And then when he's ready, all we look for to join the program, he needs to have an open mind. So 99% of the couples we work with, they have an open mind. They're, well, 100%, they have an open mind or they wouldn't be in the program. And so if your partner doesn't have an open mind, he's skeptical and doesn't want to do it, then it's not right for him. But if he's supportive, he's ready to make the changes. It's not just you making all these changes and he's over there going, okay, I'm super supportive, but no, he's got to look at his diet. He has to, we're going to look at his blood chemistry as well, look at his semen analysis, even if the semen analysis is fine, especially when it's not. There's always health goals for your partner to work on. And so in this case, so as to say, she had 3 failed IVFs, looked at all those biochemical issues. And like we talked about, the food, the gut, the sleep, the hormonal imbalance, the blood sugar imbalance, and then she was pregnant with her next IVF. And so with these stories, just like to share them with you so you can hopefully be inspired to know that sometimes we think, people will go see their RE after working with our program, and they'll be like, oh my goodness, it's a miracle. Your AMH has improved, your FSH has decreased. It's a miracle. It is a miracle, but it's also, you've done the work. You followed a plan. It didn't just, happen because it's for no reason. There was the underlying healing opportunities were addressed, and lo and behold, the body starts to come back into line. Because if other issues are going on with your gut or food sensitivities or more, it's trying to prioritize your survival, not procreation. That's downgraded. So if you are trying to figure this out by yourself, if you have tried everything in 2022 to have your baby and nothing has worked, and 2023 that you're ready to get pregnant and have your child, you want to take a targeted action. You want to take a targeted plan for this and really figure out how to do this, looking at testing, developing the plan, and then really having someone guide you through it so you don't waste time. DIY can waste time and money doing those generalized recommendations. And so when you have an action plan based on a very personalized plan that will help you make these targeted changes, targeted diet and lifestyle changes, you can increase your chances of pregnancy success. So now is the time to speak with me. I know as we go through the holiday season, it can be extremely triggering as we see everyone else, depending on, we see families, we see children, we see babies, we see pregnant people. And you may feel kind of like stuck and not knowing what to do next. So if you've got an IVF planned, really working on your health beforehand, you either get pregnant naturally or the IVF actually works. Or if you've got a diagnosis, you've been told, donor eggs are your only option and no one's dug deeper, like working on your health is always a good idea. And so really for 2023, I want you to have a plan so you know what to do next and how to help you to navigate this holiday season. So you've already got your plan and you can be like, thank you. I don't need your well-meaning advice, your tips on, people like to give you all sorts of tips perhaps on what you can do to increase your chances. This is a personalized approach based on testing and taking that mind, body, spirit approach. All you need to do is just go to fabfertile.com and click on apply here, and we can come up with a personalized plan for you and your partner. So that's fabfertile.com and click on apply here, and we will chat and figure out if you are a right fit for the program. Take care.